to the SPAnonymous School of Music, where music education is prominent. Maestro in the building. We back in the lab, about to get it again. Got another crazy lesson for you guys today, as requested, going over the West Coast, Nipsey Hussle, YG kind of style. So, gonna get a little gangster today. Doing this for the SPAnonymous School of Music, so we all know about that. Training producers all across the world over the past, year and a half, helping people learn, the music techniques from the fundamentals of music to learn how to play piano on the keyboard, and music theory, music composition, music production, psychology of music, learning all of these things so that, we can be great composers and have a lot of power inside of the studio, So when you walk inside of the studio, you should be able to control the room, not just as a producer and a composer, but even on the engineering side and a whole lot of other things. So we urge more and more producers to continue to join the SPAnonymous School of Music so you guys can become trained and you can do this stuff on your own without any problems. Learn how to do any style of beat that you please. All right. So looking into this beat here is the Nipsey Hussle, Last Time I Checked, featuring YG. A lot of people were waiting a long time for Nipsey Hussle to drop his album here on the West Coast. So shout out to Nipsey. This beat was requested. It's a really, really fire, simple beat, but so dope. So we decided to cover it for the people and then also give variety for the West Coast tutorial. So let's get right into it. So you guys have been following the channel, and if you guys have not, urge all of you guys to watch all of the tutorials as they come together collectively, and you learn a lot of theory, and we've helped so many producers, become better, whether they join the school or even guys who just follow the training. But yeah, so this stuff has already been proven to be very valuable. So we'd like to start to build the tonal center. Okay, so let's get right into that. So building the tonal center, these West Coast compositions are usually, predicated on the dominant bass line. So where the bass kind of acts as the highlight of the show, as to where, it's not really so much the melody or anything like that. It's always simple. So usually start these types of beats with the bass. All right, so let's go into a bass line. And obviously you want to pick a key out. This piece was composed in D sharp minor. My apologies, D sharp minor. And so it's a basic chord progression of a 1-6. And let's take a listen. This is how it goes. So that's the bass line, okay, and that's how you really want to start some of these West Coast bangers, since that's what the main focus is. And what is taking place here is it is just playing the bass note on the tonic, okay. And in West Coast music, which really started back in the jazz age, when jazz spread to the West Coast musicians had a different way of playing jazz. They used to call it the West Coast jazz, and you had like the Dave Brubeck and things like that, and people like that who were playing the West Coast style of jazz. Anyway, it used a lot of space, and as did Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk, used a lot of space. So it's a West Coast thing. That's why, and that directly connects to this, how there's a lot of space in between these notes and lines. It gives it a lot of energy, a lot of time for the listener to think about and interpret what's being heard. So it's a really nice thing to do, to leave space. You got to leave space. This is also good for the artist, and that's why Nipsey and YG had a lot of space on there. So you'll play like your tonic, leaving space, and then coming here on the beat 3, you're just really walking this thing. This is a walk. You're gonna walk from 1 down to 6. Okay, so really quick, let's go over the scale. So you're in D sharp minor. This is D sharp, just inharmonic, E flat. So you got D sharp, okay. So you got your D sharp here, and then you have your E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, into B natural, and then C sharp. So that is the scale. All right, so D sharp natural minor, which is the relative minor to F sharp major. So it's the exact same scale. So anyhow, as it hits the tonic, and it's really technically just a walk. So imagine, instead of having 3 long notes walk down here, it's going to leave this West Coast space. All right. So anyway, this will just continue, and it's just going to walk down and then walk back up. All right. Here, it just have a little slight variation to give it a little spice, you know. So you're just going to hit up the note up an octave. Same. So it's all the same stuff. So anyway, this is all based on a walk. All right. And what makes it sound so unique is that there's a big gap left in between the notes, even though it's still a walk. All right. So now, when you have that bass line, pretty much at this point, especially in the West Coast style, the beat is over. The beat is done. The rest is going to be decoration. But even though this is just implied chord progression, it's implied chord progression, right? Because there's no actual chords, but it's implied that it's a 1, right? 7, 6, and it's, you know, walk back up 6, 7, 1. So these are called implied chord progressions, to where the bass line is implying it, but it's not necessarily playing, you know, vertical harmonies, you know, vertical chord. So anyhow, what we want to do, so the tonal center is now created, right? We're in D sharp minor, and we know what the chord progression is. So it's a 1, 6. So it's at that point, you know your scale. I just gave you guys the scale. So these are the beginning tools that you guys have that you'll need to compose music. However, you need to, like I said, join the SPAnonMusicSchool of Music, because it's still about a foundational base. I mean, here is just a tutorial, but you're learning things here and there. But inside of the school, give you all of the information needed in order to conquer all of music composition, not only within production, but just period, and also how to play the piano and stuff. So you'll learn more about, you know, the tonal center, which I'm speaking of. So with the tonal center created, at that point, let's go ahead and get some texture. So texture has become, it's always been important, but it's very, very vital in today's music, given that a lot of producers like to do a lot of 2D layers and things like that for texture. So we're gonna do a 2D layer, okay, which means it's like unison in the bass line, and this is all about texture. So when you get an alternate bass, so they could play together simultaneously, it's all about texture. You're not going to get another bass that has some of the same textures within the same frequency range as the other bass. So you want to get something that's going to cover another area. So this one is the bite. It's going to bring the bite, a little bit of distortion. So it's the punch, right? Okay, so you see the punch. You see how I brought the extra bite and the punch, a little bit of a growl. Okay, so this is called, you know, texturizing. So this is very, very important to a composer, all right, especially in production. When you have the opportunity to paint your picture right in front of you, and you can line it up, do whatever you want. It's great possibilities in front of the DAW. So now that we have this tonal center established and we have the texture that we want, and it sounds really, really good, what you want to do then is you want to continue to establish the rhythm, especially the West Coast beat is predicated on rhythm. All right, so how the easiest way to establish a rhythm, of course, is you can put the clap in, so you can kind of feel the pulse. Okay, so you get the pulse, and you start to feel the pulse and the groove to it, and obviously now so you have to think about the psychology of music when you're composing. You know, what are the elements that are attracting your listeners, and you have to think analytically, like what traditionally and in today's modern times are, you know, moving people with the music, and the rhythm and the bass, right? The bass, the 808, and things like that. So we go straight into the rhythm section, and we'll put a kick in. Look at that space. See that space? It's all about the groove, West Coast. So you can already see it having the knock. Now, here's something, since I've been training musicians for 10 years and producers for, you know, a few years, over about 3 years, been training different producers. And what I learned, and we continue to find in training producers, when they're wanting to do West Coast style beats, and that's anybody, especially people who are not from California or from the West Coast, they don't really necessarily have the feel down. So just for you guys wanting to, master this style and get better in this style, you have to listen to the music, and you want to study the music. So my understanding of West Coast music comes back from, knowing the history of it, listening to Snoop Dogg's first album when it came out, all the way back then, and Dr. Dre's first album when it came out, and also just going forward to Daz Dillinger, the Dog Pound, all the way up to all these different producers who are so great on the West Coast. So, you got to get it down. You can't cheat the game. You can't just, watch one West Coast tutorial and you're going to have that feeling down. So if you do want to make any style of music, you're going to want to listen and study it, okay? So let's throw in this 808. And so within this style, all right, so the 808 bass, a lot of people talk about, well, how do you do an 808 bass and the actual bass, played together simultaneously? How is that taking place? So what the composer did with this one, which is a very common thing to do, these notes will clash, if you try to make a bass line with 808 and just the bass line, and they'll clash if they're not pretty much in unison. So and the only option around that is to take away so much of the bass frequency out, but then it doesn't have the hard feel anymore. Therefore, it ends up sound soft, right? So what you'd like to do is you pretty much just want to tootie layer the bass to the 808, so that way there's no clashing. So you still get your hard thump, yet it won't clash because these notes are in unison, as you can see. So take a listen. So what you can do also, so here, if you want to, keep, let's see here, if you want to take away some of the low end so that it doesn't clash a little bit less. All right, so now what you can do next, and like I said, you can continue to EQ some of that out, and you can change some of the pitch of the 808. This 808 is a little bit distorted as well. So okay, so now that we have a little bit of rhythm section, you can just continue to throw all of that in. It's just beat. So use this chant here from the James Brown song. Also, here's the hi-hats. There's usually a hi-hat pattern in there. And so all these things here establish the rhythm. So we'll go pull back a little bit more. There you go. Okay, so you see how the whole thing's come together. So now that the tonal center created, okay, and then we have all the rhythmic elements pretty much in place, and then you kind of can go back into the composition. This is the best way to do it, because when you lay down the tonal center, it tells you everything you need to know next as a composer, so you don't guess. This, by the way, alleviates beat block and debunks the whole idea of beat block. There really is no such thing as beat block, rather than a lack of knowledge of the knowing, the know-how, basically. So at this point, let's put that lead in. So you got the lead hook. So with the lead hook, this is the only really melody in here, and he just moved it up several octaves and then changed the instrumentation texture. So this is a very, very basic melody, but it's it goes along the West Coast, kind of like a party, nonchalant kind of free feel type of thing. So you're just starting here on the tonic and then hopping up to the fifth and down to the fourth. Okay, and what this is going to do when you think about the suggested chord changes, so while the fourth is playing over the beginning harmony, which is indicated as what, a D sharp minor, obviously. So this note here becomes the 11. So that's always going to add color. Okay, and when the chord changes, okay, to the B major chord, all right, or the implied chord through the bass, look at here would be the third of it. So you got a quality tone here, and you have the major 7, and you have the 13. So that's what happens and why it sounds very, very colorful, especially on the beats 3 and 4 or 7 and 8. Because, you know, having the tonic in the fifth, there's neither or has a quality tone, which basically means that all chords, all, you know, main chords, right, of the major scale, with the exception of the diminished chord, all have a tonic, or excuse me, a root in a perfect fifth. So all minor and major chords have a root in a perfect fifth. So if you are expressing a chord and you are choosing these chord signs, it's not going to put emphasis on the quality, okay, which is minor, right? But how would you know based on these melody notes? Because it's not playing the minor interval from the root note. Here, though, over the B major chord, you'll get beautiful quality tones. You have the 3rd and the 7 and the 13. All right. So, and in this case, because of where it's placed, you call it a 6. So it's a major 7/6 chord, and this repeats. So it's really, really nice color. So you can create beautiful music in simplicity, guys. Absolutely. So, but still selecting the right notes, you know. So there's your lead hook there. At that point, as far as the lead, I think this was the entire hook here. There's a stomp here for some more presence. Okay, so you'll have that. And then at that point, so that was all that. So going into the verse, where this would come out, there's a little ARP thing. This ARP is simulated. They use an actual ARP, so I didn't, you know, feel like I wanted to also teach you guys really to make your own ARPs. So I simulated the ARP here, which is, you know, a variation of the same chord that the original ARP is playing, just to encourage you guys to make your own ARPs. I don't use ARPs, I make them. And an arpeggio is what? Just arpeggiating a chord, usually arpeggiating a chord tone. Or excuse me, arpeggiating chord tones of some type of chord. Okay, and this, what you can do here, with, you know, this is just the minor. This is the minor chord based on the 5th scale degree. Okay, but played over the tonic. What this is going to give you is a suspended 11. Okay, so the first chord becomes a suspended 11 just for a second. I believe there's no F sharp here. No F sharp, so yeah. So suspended 11 just for a second. Why? Because here's the 5th, here's the 7th, here's the 9, and the 11. So suspended 3rd to the 4th. All right, and more texture stuff. So then there was the same melody that was used on the hook is used for the verse. All right, and it's just there's a layers of a flute, okay, and a synth sound. Here's this. So we take that synth sound and 2D it with like a flute. Okay, so once again, all that is what? Texture, right? Just a bunch of texture. That's why you do layers and things of that nature. And there was an ambient pad in the back. Okay, so let's go over this pad. With the ambient pad, so at this point we're the West Coast things. This is modal music, cool stuff. So basically, it's beautiful to set up a tonal center in that way where it doesn't have a chord progression that's, you know, sounding off vertically, because it gives you room to toy around with the Tonal Center. All right, so here you can play a plethora of chords. You can play it almost as if it's a chord progression, but it's not. They're like floating chords, and because there's no chord progression, and then they're just actually creating coloration, and harmonies in the musical atmosphere. So. Okay, so it just gets slightly a little bit advanced here, but basically, you guys should watch, all of my tutorials because it just goes over all of this stuff. And if you're very serious about this stuff and you're not looking to just learn a few things here and there, and you actually want to have a career and be a professional and hone all of these skills to the best of your abilities, then once again, you want to join the SPAnonMusicSchool School of Music so you can learn. This is considered minute inside of my school, and we learn a lot more than, we learn pretty much every style, right? From country to movie scoring, whatever, classical music, just music, right? So here you have the triad here played in first inversion, which is on the fourth scale degree. So it's the minor 4 chord, right? The fourth scale degree, there's G sharp minor, and it's in first inversion because the G sharp is moved up now to the highest note. The third is now the bass. Okay, so, and then here is the same chord, we're just going to crush the 9 against it, and it's in root position, crush 9 here. And then here's the exact same chord, but moved to tonic. So it's the minor, again, in root position, as you can see, the exact same intervals here, and it has the crush second. And this just gives it really a lot of flavor. I was surprised to hear the 9s on those chords that were floating. So shout out to the composer of the music, that was dope. So, you got all these textures and things, and it's all compositional. I know some people think, I've heard them say, oh, we don't need to know. Okay, well, maybe you're not interested in knowing this stuff. But as you can see, it certainly would help you dominate over your peers, which most of the people who say, well, you don't need this, if you take a listen to their music, structure-wise and form and, compositional-wise and, their melodies, harmonic structure, I don't think they know it. They absolutely don't know what they're doing. So anyhow, going forward, there was a run here, which was just an ARP. There was a run, which was just an ARP here. So let's take a look at this. This is another arpeggiated run, which is just going to take the tonic chord right here from the root and run up. Play that on keyboard. But yeah, so you just kind of like that. So it's just an arpeggiated run of the tonic, and it's going to run all the way up. So that's that, and let's take a listen to that. So there you see that run. So that's the arpeggiation of the tonic chord in triad, and just runs all the way up. Okay. Lastly, there was a texture here, and basically just emphasizing the melody note at that time, and then tooting it with another instrument for more texture. Okay, so you see how it has added textures, and it's just, like I said, tooting the melody note. And then here you had a little bit more background texture here. right, so there you have it. So that's the entire composition as all of the music, composed, and now you're, ready to map the thing out. So it's this is, simple stuff. If you learn the techniques, how to compose music, I'm telling you guys, when you go to make a beat, these types of beats, it's not a hit or miss. It's not like, oh, I'm hoping to make a banger. Oh, I found this sound. Or, oh, I'm telling you, you can just make anything you want like this at will, and you could say you're gonna make it. Ask any of my students in the school who, follow, obviously know what I'm doing, and it's like I tell them, oh, I'm about to make this, and I'll nail it. Like, you know what I mean? So if you know this stuff, you're telling you guys. Like I said, this is for you guys. So hopefully we continue to have more people join the SPAnonymous School of Music so you can get trained up, man, and make you the best producer that you can be. Pure dominance, instead of guessing. And then also, you guys have to be aware of, like, the playing field, So you're on YouTube, okay? And you know everything the next guy knows, or less, because the same information is out there, okay? So everyone can watch that same tutorial you watch. Everybody, can learn how to use the gross beat and how to reverse a melody and how to make a kick do this and that. The only way you can be different rather than the other producers, your peers, is musically, right? Because you're not going to really separate yourself from the DAW. Everybody knows how to, compose music on the DAW in terms of using the DAW. So you'll separate yourself by your skill set and knowledge of music. So that's why, like I said, you want to come get trained, and you'll see the difference. And you'll see, and put yourself in another lane. Now you can create 10 different styles of music instead of one. You guys are all fighting for scarce resources. You're all fighting for the Future lane or the Playboy Cardi lane. And like, I've been on YouTube. Don't you guys know that there's been guys that won't even name drop? They've owned that lane for 4 years. You're wasting your time. You're buying views, and we see that too. Guys that have 5,000 views with 100 likes and no comments. Like, we know what time it is. So anyhow, blessings to everyone. Come get trained up. The email, you see it in the intro, outro. Just. Contact us, SPAnonymous School of Music, SPAnonMusicSchool@gmail.com. You get a free consultation. So basically, I won't just train anybody. So first, we need to have an interview. I want to make sure, first I want to learn about you. I want to learn what your musical goals and aspirations are, and see if they are fitting, and then, provide you with some type of a package of training, or maybe just to join the entire school, whatever's best suited for you. So, you will get free consultation and advice. And if you are, joining the school, then you'll get mentored and counseled, and I'll be looking after your musical upbringing. Okay? So anyhow, peace and blessings, everyone. Let's take a listen to the beat, and let's get out of here. All right, so there you have it. Like I said, a beautiful, beautiful beat. A lot of knowledge. Really, really good for you West Coast producers or all producers out there who's looking to learn some more in the style. And I have another, like I said, it's nonstop all year. Make sure you like, subscribe. We got, knowledge all year long for the producer community. So plenty of more tutorials coming out this week in different styles. More Future. I think Drake. And I think we have some more West Coast stuff. So we will be, we're going to get everything. It takes a little time. We get so many requests and emails. So I'm trying my best to, get the lessons out there that you guys are looking to have. But like I said, just, one thing at a time. So peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you all for checking out the video and the lesson. And I hope that you guys, continue to train hard and, just live your dreams, man. Music is a beautiful thing. Nothing more that I love to do to help people, live their dream, through music and stuff like that. If you love music, you should be able to do music for a living, rather than something else, right? So, anyhow, peace and blessings to everyone. And SPAnonymous School of Music, last time I checked, has the best music training in the world, man. So, peace and blessings. Maestro SP out.